Guys, welcome to another episode of Crypto Casual. I'm your host, Chuck. Let's get this day started. Hope you're doing well. Let's get right into it. I got a lot of stuff today to cover. I'm trying to keep them under 20 minutes, but they all seem to be about 20 minutes. And I'm playing with some stuff today, maybe changing some stuff around to give you a little more visual and stuff. Today, I look at Bitcoin not only as a monetary system, I look at it as an exchange of energy. I can look at it as a thermodynamic system. If you're not sure what that is, look it up. It's just the laws of thermodynamics. If you can watch Michael Saylor, he likes to describe a lot of stuff in that. He's a YouTuber as well, an influencer, a billionaire. MicroStrategies, good one to really listen to about that. But for me, Bitcoin is a higher frequency of consciousness, and it allows us to access more information from, let's just call it cosmic libraries for now. And for simplicity's sake, we'll just say there's 7 libraries, and they are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. That being said, let's sort of get on to what it is, why I do what I do. I'm just here to help people grow their life in a simple way, not too difficult. I do it through fundamental financial strategies and personal frameworks, stuff like NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, what are some behavioral therapy work, modification. It's basically helping you see why you think the way you think, and then give you the power in which to change it. All right, changing this up a little bit here of the day and breaking it into 4 categories, and I'll display them in 4 different ways. So basically, and I also heard in my last video the computer heating up. And I'll have to get some headphones or a different setup so you don't have to hear that sound in the background. Anyway, esoteric thought of the day, behavioral framework of the day, news and definition, price strategy, and my crypto picks, and then the influencer book and movie of the day. It could be any of those. All right, so if you will, at this time, like I do every day, help me get this channel out and running. If you like the esoteric mixed in with the BTC and cryptocurrencies, then by all means share the like. Help me get the message out by telling 5, 10 friends, having them all subscribe if they like this information. Feel free to leave comments down below as well. Take a look at my last 18 or so videos and see what you think about that. It is a new station. We are improving all the time, and I look forward to hearing from your comments. That being said, I am not your financial advisor. I'm not your spiritual guru. I'm not your holistic doctor or naturopath. These are all under your powers to figure out for you. Put the power of health, wealth, and love back in your hands. So the ultimate responsibility in this life for your life is you. So do your own research. If it's health, wealth, and love, study all you can, better yourself. And when it comes to crypto or investing, I don't invest more than I'm willing to lose. All right, so let's get right into it. Esoteric thought of the day, the Genesis thought. Now, I touched briefly on this on some of the first videos, but let's delve into it just a little bit, keeping things casual. Genesis thought, what I call Genesis thought, is the first thought in your head. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be your thought. It could be your response to a thought. But your very first thought about someone else's thought, or a thought about the thought you just had. That very first thought you have about a thought that came in or that was yours is called the Genesis thought, and every thought thereafter is just an exiting of the Genesis up into a point where eventually you have a revelation about that thought. And part of the thought, the Genesis thought, is the one that you have control over. It goes beyond the primal brain. It goes into the intuitive brain, the heart brain. And it is the one that can make sense and calm down the primal brain. It gets us out of fight or flight. But that esoteric thought, that Genesis thought, is basically, it's I'm thinking this thought, and for what reason am I thinking this thought? And is it serving me? Is it helping me better? Is this thought better? Or is it depleting? Is it empowering? Or is it disempowering? So keep that in mind as we go forward, the Genesis thought. Now, we talk about these esoteric libraries, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Yes, you can call it the chakra, rainbows, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It's frequencies. Red is a slower frequency, violet's a higher frequency. Now, let me go in a little bit and let's look at, just entertain the idea that we're all batteries, and we're all alternating current batteries or rechargeable batteries with the capacity, like a computer, to upgrade. And through millennia, we've always had great thinkers, awakeners, if you will, to help others awaken. Call them spiritual gurus, call them whatever you want, but it was anyone, it could be anyone that was able to have you look at life differently. That planted a seed that then opened up an entire universe of awareness and understanding. And with this awareness and understanding, you then gain more information by bettering yourself, by learning more, by taking responsibility for your actions, thoughts, and emotions. And with that, you then improved, and then you paid it forward, like we were talking about yesterday. We went to duplicate it and then repeat that same process. Watch the video yesterday, we went into that a little bit. But basically, as people increase their capacity and open up to downloads, in essence what they're doing is just getting into the red library first. It's sort of the rudimentary, our base knowledge of life, our primal brain. And then we move into orange, which is more family-oriented information from the cosmos. And we go up the channel. And then when we start hitting the final green, blue, indigo, and violet, these are libraries that contain, that you can only access through portals of knowledge, or access portals, gateways, if you will. You have to open up the gate to go through the portal, put it that way. And these portals are basically accesses to knowledge, but you have to, let's just for example go that we're 110 volt human beings and we're going up to 220 volt human beings. Well, by opening up to that seed that an awakener, if you will, presented to us, that made us open up and say, hey, there's more to life than what I thought it was, right? Freedom is a thought. Poverty is a thought. And as we access these higher frameworks of consciousness, we then have to do our work, and that's taking responsibility, growth we talked about yesterday. And as you grow, you expand, and as you expand, you go from 110 to 220. Now these higher libraries, you have to have 220 to access these. So if you're wondering why you can't access, or you're not hearing answers back from heaven or God or your gurus or your spirits or whatever, or if the information is not fulfilling or cryptic, then it's because you don't have the base knowledge to understand the information they're presenting. So that's what our growth is all about, is to gain more electricity, more atoms, more ions, electrons into our network, our human flesh bag network, to then speed it up. And as we speed it up, we then connect with others who have already done their work. And then there's this collective, and the collective then, we all become recharged batteries. We can become alternating current batteries. We have a charging system built within. But if you're not, then you're just someone who drains the system. Right? You just drain people's energies, and they allow you to drain them, and that is a bigger picture for another story for another time. But the main thing is, you are either just going to live off other people's energy, and when they're not giving you the energy that you need anymore, you're just going to discard them and go to someone else. Much like an incubus or succubus in mythology or folklore. These are beings that just take energy from you or have sex with you and all this other crazy stuff. But basically on Earth, there are people here that they aren't willing to do their own work, so they need a power source because they're only direct current beings. They don't have a recharging system. But as they go through life and there's not going to be enough energy for them to suck off anymore, they're going to have to go and crash, if you will, and reboot their systems. And part of this rebooting is to gain their own alternative or alternating current. And as they gain this alternating current, they then join the collective. Now that being said, when we're all the people on Earth are energy alternating current batteries, and there's some that are in the process of becoming an alternating rechargeable battery. Now, all these batteries is what's running Earth in one sense. And yes, I know Earth has its own energy that it gets from the universe, but the travel, the operations, the inner workings that hardly none of us even know, and that includes science, anthropologists, and whoever else, they don't really know what makes the Earth work. They have a whole bunch of theories, but no facts. And then when you throw the cosmic neighborhood or the aliens into the picture, it just blows out of proportion what we think we even know. But all that being said, we all power the Earth. And so once we all power the Earth, then we open up as a collective to the 220 consciousness, and what I'm calling BTC, the second coming. And as this energy increases, we then gain access to information and are able to take down the energy from these different higher realms. And again, higher and lower is not a competitor, it's just a elevation. As you increase, like martial arts in America, as you increase, you get to the next belt. But when you get to the next belt, you still have a lot of work to do. So BTC is part of the freedom to help us free. The 220s are going into the land of free. And again, free and slavery are just perspectives, right? No one's enslaving you except you with the limitations of your own learning and your own thinking. And we'll get into a little bit about that today. But as BTC, or for me, it's called Bitcoin, the Christ, if you will, or the second coming, it is accessing the higher Christ consciousness that we were all told by all mythologies that there was going to be a second coming. Well, this for me is the second coming. It's a higher knowledge of electricity or energy. Call it Christ energy, Christian energy, I don't care what you call it. For me, it's just more electricity, which then we can process, our brains and bodies can process the new information quicker. And if you're not, then you can get augmented by the jabs and stuff they're doing with, what they're trying to experiment with for transhumanism. For me, I'm all about homo illuminus, which is just naturally, organically accessing the higher frequencies by doing our inner work. Making sense? All right. Now let's get on to the framework of the day then. External representation. So we talk about internal representation. It's who you are. Internal is who you are. You're esoteric. Your knowledge from the experiences that you've gained and the behaviors, all that good stuff, the way you see the world. And the way you see the world will be then extended to the external world. And so our external representation, right, what we're doing with that, how we're learning Bitcoin, all this stuff, this is new knowledge. And so we want to sit here and critique the way you learn and organize information, especially about cryptocurrencies and BTC. We want to look at how we learn. Specifically, do you set time aside? Do you have a room that's organized, whatever that organization? If it's messy and that's organized for you, great. But let's look and critique the way we learn, because the way we were taught in indoctrination camps or schools, it wasn't very good for free thinkers. It was great for the enslaved, but it's not good for free thinkers. And so, it's again, good and bad is not a negative term. It's just there's right action that we talked about yesterday. There's wrong action that goes against your own frequency, which then causes a counter effect to your own intuitive pathway. And again, we can go into deep, but we want to keep it a little casual here, which we may have gone beyond that board of casual to deep. But anyway, we want to look at the way we learn, right? We want to evaluate the way we solve problems, right? And then for me, there are really no problems, just I'm solution driven, which means if I encounter something that I don't know, then I'm going to look for a solution. I don't sit there and go, well, I can't learn this. This is too hard. No, I'm going to say, well, let me pick one thing about that and break it down. Let me get to the etymology of each and every word of that sentence, right? Etymology is just the origin of words. So if I don't understand a word within the framework of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, then I'm going to do my due diligence and put 1,000 hours into learning it. And the more you learn, the more you become aware, the more the ahas hit, and the more you open up to the higher 220 rechargeable energy, which then when you do, you immediately get access to that store of value, if you will. The mansions in the Bible are just man's ions. You have access to all the ions of the man or human. And the hue is HUE, which is just the rainbow. Right? We exist in the frequencies of red through violet. Anything outside that can burn us. So we are hue, HUE, man, and our hue is about to be illuminated by doing our work. Make sense? And so we definitely got to look at how we absorb or take in the external energy into our internal energy. So we want to look at where we get stuck or not grow from our experiences. So when you have an experience, right, we talk about this all the time, when you have an experience, you're going to have an interpretation, which then that interpretation comes up with a meaning, which comes up with an effect. It has an effect on your life. That effect then causes you to act differently or behave differently, which then that behavior, that external representation, ends up becoming the outcome. Right? So when you have an experience that, let's say, was not very welcoming or it wasn't fun, I don't get stuck there. I'm going, okay, what was it about that experience, that learning experience, that didn't work out? Why did I fail that test? Or what didn't I comprehend? And then what I didn't comprehend, I'm going to go back and break it down into the points in which I understand. And if I don't understand it, I'm going to elicit from those who do understand. Cool? All right, let's keep going on. All right, so let's discuss your process through the problem in your life experience that was challenging. So we want to look at these experiences that we had and go, why was it challenging? What was it about it that maybe triggered you, or you got embarrassed, or you felt dumb, or what was this? All right, so we need to discuss the process through the problem in your life. All right, so we can look at past events that were similar, and then sort of look at that. How do we get out of that? How do we become better? What were the steps that got us out of a hard situation, out of an old relationship, an old job, dealing with death? How did we overcome that? If you're still here, you've overcome a whole lot. And so we want to replicate those results, right? And so we want to help others replicate what we were able to go through on our own, from present state to desired state. Right? So we want to model the experts. We don't want to copy because we want to be our own unique selves. But at the same time, if I see someone's channel that I like, I'm going to honor them by saying, hey, I like the way they're doing this, so I'm going to copy this and give them props. And a lot of this stuff right now about I'm the only one basically doing the holistic stuff or the esoteric stuff that I know, and I've looked around. And combining the esoteric with the cryptocurrencies. So yeah, we want to we want to model the experts the best we can, learn what they learned, what were their steps, what were their hardships, what was their process. And this is all to enhance our effectiveness, especially when it comes to BTC. We want to have the effectiveness of making the right choices. Right? So once we gain that, that's called an ability, and then we can add that to our strategies that we've learned from the experts and that we replicate and that we created ourselves. And this gives us the results or the outcome of our experience. Right? So our behavior changes. And so understand that all limitations are just your perceptions, right? And it's the way we respond to them, right? And if we understand that once we have an issue with what we're thinking, we just have to stop, discipline ourselves, and go, let's get to the genesis thought. What was my first thought about this thought of why I can't accomplish something? My limitation. And I'm going to sit there and go, why? What's the purpose? What's the meaning behind why I'm thinking what I'm thinking? Right? We got to go back, basically, and find my paper here. Why do we think the way we think? For what purpose is it serving us? Right? We need to figure out the genesis thought and say, okay, why am I thinking this thought? That's the genesis thought. Why am I thinking this thought? And the second thought, or to exit out of that first thought, we have to then say, what purpose is it serving me? That makes sense. So when we hit a limitation, we got to know why we're thinking that it's a limitation. For what purpose is it serving us to think in a limited way? Just when we can spend the same amount of time and say, hey, this can be an unlimited, I can solve this problem. I just have to look for the solution. Awesome. All right, guys. And finally, here's a question that we often ask our clients and whatnot is, what would you do in life if you didn't have to chase money, make a name for yourself, or you didn't have to care what other people thought of you? I want you to give that some thought. We're not going to go into it too much because we can definitely break that down, but I definitely want you to ask yourself, these questions, right? If it wasn't, life wasn't about chasing money, right? Because if we chase money, then we can impress people, right? That's the third part. If we didn't have to impress people, well, we chase money, right? And if we wanted to make a name for ourselves, we're like, you know what, I want to write the world's best novel. Well, you're trying to impress others still. Or you may not. But put these thoughts to your mind frame, your state of mind, and see if it can maybe plant a seed. Definition of the day, staking. You hear this all the time. You can stake for rewards. And many platforms like Ethereum and a few others, Tezos, they all have places where you can stake your money or stake your crypto, which means they'll pay you a percentage back. So if you take and put your crypto on their site, they will then pay you 5, 6, 7, 8% on your token. So if your token, you have 10 tokens in there, they will pay you 8% on each on the total of each token. Right, so staking is just basically putting your money up there, saying you're going to hold it there, and you'll make some profit off of that, or some rewards. Make sense? Price strategy. So let's go over here for prices. My link pool. Let's go back for a second. Give you an insight to what's coming up. Prices today. Bitcoin, we're actually doing pretty good. 42.7. We're about to break 43. So we are surging. We were at 30,000 early on in the first videos, and now we've gone up $10,000. Ethereum's about to break 3,000. Cardano going up to 142. Polkadot jumping up. If you look at the 7 days, they're doing pretty good. Polkadot's jumped up 34%. So if you had your money in Polkadot, you would be up 34%. Your bank's not going to give you that. Stocks aren't going to give you that. Not consistently. Solana's up 26%, which we've gone over, which is a great project. All right. Next. My influencers of the day, Toby and Heidi, and I hope I'm spelling their names correctly. I don't know if I am or not. They may spell it a different way, but these guys are nomad capitalists too. They expated, renounced their citizenship from the United States, and they live in St. Kitts and Nevis or something. I can't even pronounce it. St. Kitts, where they pay no capital gains, no taxes, stuff like this, and go watch their channel. And it's called Crypto Tips. Let me see if I had I had them up earlier. There they are. There's their site, Crypto Tips. They're doing a little thing. They're taking questions and answers right now, but they're both knowledgeable of what they do. And their stories are pretty good. They're entertaining, so I like them. So take a look at them. Put a shout out. Tell them you heard that you heard it from the Crypto Casual guy over here, Chuck, and help them out, improve their station as well, or their channel. Book of the day. My book of the day is any book, really, by Rudolf Steiner. He's from the 1800s, 1820s, 1840s, 50s, 60s. Anyway, he was a great thinker, mathematician, scientist, just many one of those men that studied many things, and a lot of it was within spirituality. But a great thinker. Anyway, his book one of his first books that he came out was The Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, which I do with Bitcoin. And it's a philosophy of freedom, so it sticks with my theme of freedom. When you get Bitcoin, you're no longer enslaved to the system. You have access to freedom. And freedom exists really for me, inner peace, but that freedom is also having the ability to access higher consciousness. No one can interfere with that but you. If you want to go from 110 to 220 and access the higher consciousness to the higher consciousness, that's freedom. You can go up and down any of the elevators, if you will, of consciousness and into any of the libraries within red through violet and gain any information that you want. Let's see, I think I missed price and strategies. Again, for me, strategy is just cost average in, buy the dips, 50, 25, 25 rule. My strategies never really change, so I may end up eliminating it, or I just may mention here and there. But my picks of the day, and you saw that earlier. Let's go forward. Go back in here. Link pool. Link pool is associated with Link or Chainlink. It is a whole bunch of different sites that deal with Chainlink that help you um, trust in a system that helps take analog information, put it in digital systems that aren't on the blockchain yet, and bring them over to the blockchain. They link them together. They call them an oracle, just like in mythology. And so you're beginning to see themes in some of the names within crypto, some of the ancient symbolisms from the triangles to the icosahedron and different shapes. Yeah, went off the thing. My picture's up, but you can look at the picture. So what is link pool? It'll go into there and describe what that is. It just helps the entire ecosystem. And they have staking, Chainlink markets, nodes and services. And because Link and the prices are going up, I think this is a great buy. Why it's so cheap. So definitely get into that. There it is on that. So Rudolf Steiner, higher consciousness. Be your own alternating battery by connecting to the higher frequencies, tapping into what knowledge you want to, and not have other people force theirs or try to convince you of their information. Do your own due diligence. You're the source of your own income and your own incoming knowledge. So that being said, guys, I know this is a little longer today, but I wanted to get that information out. I always think it's important. So right now my videos are just going to be about 20-25 minutes long. So if that's cool with you, I hope you watch them all. And please like, subscribe, and definitely hit the notification bell. Please tell 5 friends. Let's get this station up and rolling. And remember, guys, stay casual.